Hello.
Hello. How are you doing, Luca?
I'm fine. I'm fine. And you?
Good.
Perfect. I like your environment, like in the jungle, like in the
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
Careful for the apes.
Right. They're everywhere. They're taking over.
Let's hope not yet.
Yeah.
Let's give us a couple of 100 years
That's
before
right.
that happens. No, thank you very much for taking your time. Wes, how did it feel for you? About how did you feel about continuing the legacy of the reboot of the Apes, Planet of the Apes franchise? I mean, have you ever felt like, what story is there left to be told after that, especially after the fantastic conclusion of Caesar's journey and in the War of the Planet of the Apes? How did you go from there?
Yeah. No, I mean that's you're hitting on exactly the my first reaction when I was
Yeah,
asked about this thing. Why? Why make another one? And it was shortly after that we realized that this film series has been around since 1968. It's 55 years. There's 10 movies now of these movies.
mhm,
So there is something about them that there is plenty of story to tell, and there's something about these movies that captures the audience's reactions over many generations, right?
yeah,
So there's definitely more stories to be told. The question was really, do you do a reboot or do you do a sequel? And I
hmm,
think we found a way to kind of a little bit do both. You know what I mean?
hmm,
By separating ourselves from that previous trilogy, so that we're not just a weird tacked on part four, but we're
yeah,
actually our own new chapter, our own kind of installment on this franchise, but still a part of that universe. Caesar is still a character in this movie in a way, right?
true.
Is when we kind of decided to go down that path, that's when suddenly it felt appropriate. It felt like, okay, now we have a story to tell that's worthy of the franchise, and could stand on its own 2 feet and be its own kind of experience, its own story, its own new characters, but it still honors kind of what came before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's actually a fantastic move because, yeah, you avoid those problems with having a direct sequel to such a great conclusion,
Yeah.
actually. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Why do that? It wasn't needed. Yeah.
right, right. And after seeing the movie, I really have to say I liked the movie a lot and felt like the previous three takes, the previous three installments were like, really, really dark and dystopian, especially War of the Planet of the Apes for
Sure.
me. And Kingdom, however, felt more like, a little bit more upbeat,
Yeah.
especially more adventurous, like in the sense of discovering a whole new world, as you said, but layered on the over the memories of an old one.
Yeah.
Am
It's
I
a haunting.
fantasizing here, or is that what
Yeah.
you were going for?
Yeah, it's kind of a haunting past. It's a beautiful world, but underneath that is these haunting kind of memories of lost knowledge and lost lives and struggle and yeah, crazy. Um, yeah, no, you're right, man. It was quite a challenge, but a fun one to undertake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're already, now that I think about it, my question was, you're best known for your Maze Runner trilogy. And now that I think about it, it's also a dystopian world. So you're probably kind of
Yeah.
experienced in
Yeah, right. I
doing
don't
that.
know what it is, but I tend to play in this kind of landscapes a lot. But that's okay. It was
Right.
worthwhile on this one. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And when I was thinking about that, I was thinking for you to direct such a thing, is it, how to say it? Is it easier or more liberating to write and direct a whole new story in this new franchise? Or is it maybe also a little bit intimidating to create this project, this movie, without having like the guideline of a book, or when you're struggling with the story or seeking for a guideline, yeah, when you don't know where to go, how to make it, when you have a book you can rely on, you know what
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Well, in a weird way, we kind of did, though, right? I mean,
Mhm.
in the best way. We didn't have pages of text, but we had, 10 movies before us. We had a 68 version that everyone loves that we were kind of had in our sights. We
Mhm.
we're kind of a sequel and a prequel that way, right? And then we had just this great bar that was set before us with the previous trilogy, you know.
Hmm.
So it was good. It was actually a great kind of, you know, very loose parameters that we had, you know, in our periphery of like, well, we know there's got to be feral humans. We know there's got to be, apes have to talk more. You know, we have to kind of see how they arrive at these places. When are we going to blow up the Statue of Liberty? There's all these questions, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
were actually good to have, you know, as a creative kind of, force to kind of keep us kind of inspired and interested, you know.
Hmm. Absolutely. And you also had, I guess, you had the help of screenwriters like Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, who already co-wrote the previous installments. How was that for you to have them on board?
Oh, it was critical. It was crucial. They were the first people I talked to, was Rick and Amanda. And I don't want to talk for them, but I think they were skeptical too. You know, like, really doing another one? And then I think we sat and had lunch, or we had a meeting on the lot, and I was like, okay, guys, I know, but look, check this out. And I just laid out all these crazy ideas, you know what I mean? And you can see them, yes, this is how you do it. You know what I mean? And what was funny is they said, look, you know, we're not the right ones to start the writing process. They were working on another project at the time.
Hmm.
You know, but we're here to produce and help, and you know, and all this kind of stuff, and be as supportive as possible. And we think you need to talk to Josh Friedman, who we had just finished doing the Avatar series with. They had written all the Avatar movies together. And so that's when I went to Josh Friedman. I told him all these crazy ideas, and he's the guy I said, okay, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying to do here. And so he should be credited really with, like, you know, the three of them really got together and really figured out how to kind of take all these crazy ideas and find that kind of through line of a script that we could actually start working on. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
And then
Is there?
ultimately, Rick and Amanda came on and started doing multiple drafts after that. So yeah, the DNA to the previous movies is you know, all over this movie. You know what I mean? So that felt like critical for us. You know?
Exactly, exactly. It always echoed through the movie, and echo. I don't want to spoil
There you
it.
go.
It's really intriguing. I really liked a lot the movie, and
Yeah, I
all.
think there's a lot to think about in the movie. I think there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of thought provoking and interesting to chew on after you get out of the theater. You know.
Absolutely. It haunts you a bit. It stays in your head and you think about it and what could be and how will it be and what's the movie telling me. And you also have a great main actor in Owen Teague. How crucial was it to find someone like him to take over from a household name like Andy Serkis?
Andy Serkis, I know. Can you imagine? You know, it's amazing. I mean, I was terrified of the prospect of, like, how do we find someone to do that?
Mhm.
And then he turned in his tape. Owen Teague's tape showed might have been the second tape I watched. And I was like, oh, this is not going to be a problem. This guy's great. Let's see who else we got. You know, and it was just, holy crap, this guy. It's like, he's just like a miracle. It's fell out of the sky. And it was like, he's just so perfect for this character. And come to find out later that he got into acting because he saw Andy Serkis in King Kong. That's what he wanted to do. So there's this great full circle thing, you know, and then, yeah, so I think, you know, all the actors, they deserve a ton of credit because they had never done this before, ever. You know what I mean? Not even doing mocap, really. And, you know, they came at it with, like, a sense of humility, you know, and a sense of kind of confidence in their characters. And they just hopefully created characters that, you know, are just as beloved as the previous ones we've seen throughout all these movies. You know what I mean? So... fingers crossed, you know, hope audiences like all the work they did. They did a good job, I thought.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, it was also, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's also kind of new for you to have this mocap heavy movie with, it's also for you a new way probably to direct or.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was wild. I mean, I tell people, like, the previous Maze Runner movies, the budgets combined were less than this one movie. You know, so the step up in terms of resources and level of just difficulty, I think, you know, is pretty profound. But, you know, those Maze Runner movies were really good practice for this, you know, and I got to kind of know Matt and Andy from the Mouse Guard movie that was also kind of mocap. I had started kind of cutting my teeth on that stuff already. And I kind of consider myself a visual effects kind of frustrated artist back in the day. I wanted to go into visual effects and stuff before I got the opportunity to direct movies. So, I was comfortable with it. I knew enough to be dangerous, but I gotta say, it is really difficult stuff, man. This is a really hard way to make a movie, and I have a new respect even for like what for Matt having done two of them. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
really difficult stuff. But it was fun, man. Like the power of this, and working with like people like Eric Winquist, my VFX soup, had worked on Dawn previously. And the what effects guys, have made now 3.5 movies with them, basically. You're working with the best people in the world, and they make it as easy as it can be. You know what I mean? And just seeing the work that they do, it's just stunning. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really cool stuff. Really, 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 it was a really fun experience.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning what you brought on the screen. And do you have more ideas for the sequels coming? Will there sequels come?
Yeah. So there is thoughts on the next sequel, and hopefully, if this is successful, we'll be able to kind of continue on this story and hopefully give audiences a new set of movies here in this awesome franchise of Apes movies.
Perfect. I guess my time's up. I'm not sure.
It is.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry. I would like to continue, but thank you very much for your
Next
time.
time, dude. I appreciate all the questions. It was great stuff.
Bye, Luca.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.